This episode is sponsored by Smart Chef, a takeaway joint in Andheri West, specialized in Indian, Chinese, and tandoor, and delivers till 4 a.m.
Hi, and welcome to yet another episode of Over a Drink. And today we are with Ernest Dias. Now, Ernest Dias is a personality who needs no introduction, at least in Goa, but I'm going to still leave it to Ernest to introduce himself. Ernest, welcome to the show, and I want you to introduce yourself to the people and tell what you do.
Thank you, Suraj. First of all, before I even introduce myself, I would like to congratulate you and thank you for having these sessions, because that's where Goa and the people in Goa are known in the tourism industry. Otherwise, a lot of people who are doing different types of allied jobs in this industry were not getting the exposure. So thank you and congratulations once again for doing it.
Thank you.
Okay, my name is Ernest Dias. I am presently the Chief Operating Officer of Travel Corporation of India. We have the inbound division in Thomas Cook, under the Thomas Cook India brand. So the Thomas Cook has inbound, which is TCI, SITA and Distant Frontiers. Outbound is SOTCL, Thomas Cook. So basically when I talk about inbound, I'm talking about the type of clients we handle are 95% foreign tourists, either who come as individuals, FIT, or the charter clients. Okay. So this type of job I have been doing for the last, I think it started from 1991, December, in SITA. I've seen a lot of takeovers happening. It was earlier SITA Indian company taken over by Kony in the year 2000. And later on now, in the recent past, Kony sold it to Thomas Cook India. So I have grown in this company, started as a senior executive, grew up to be a manager, vice president, and today chief operating officer.
Awesome. I think considering that kind of experience, that's exactly why we're sitting here today, and I think you'll be the right person to shed some light on international markets for Goa. So to begin with, what do you think about the tourism season 2021, considering the international charter flights or international tourists?
See, if you talk about 2021,
that
is from April 20 to 21 March.
Okay.
For us, it was a dead season.
Okay.
Because we had no charters at all. We kept hoping that they would introduce bucket flights since the COVID count in Goa was less. We thought they would allow charter flights to come only to Goa, especially from Russia. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. We put in a lot of effort meeting the Chief Minister of Goa, but it didn't work out. So now.
But you think that was actually under his control? You think he could have done something for the industry?
I feel he could have pushed it at the central government level.
Okay.
Because here I know he cannot do it.
Yeah.
But if he had really pushed it, maybe we would salvage February, March. Because you see the count. See, Goa today is full of domestic tourists.
Correct.
So I don't see any reason why we should stop the international tourists from coming here. Especially, we could insist that they come with their vaccines taken.
But were international tourists ready to come to Goa?
My Russian tour operators, I worked with two of the biggest Russian tour operators, and they showed interest.
Okay.
Right from the time we had this COVID, they said, unless we'll start in October, November. If your government opens the borders, we can put pressure on Russia. Because, see, Russians are traveling. They're traveling to Africa, Zanzibar. They're traveling to Turkey. They are traveling to places. No doubt the numbers are less, but they are traveling.
Okay.
So, and the Russians want to travel. They are very brave and courageous people. In Russia itself, a lot of them are now going to this place called Sochi, where they had the Winter Olympics. So a lot of people are going there now.
So what do you think about 2021? I mean going ahead now, October I'm talking about.
Now we're talking about season 21-22.
22, correct.
We are keeping our fingers crossed. I am very hopeful that it will start from October onwards, provided we do not get the international tourist destinations do not have any problems with the new migrant coming in.
So where do we stand right now as I'm talking to you on this status?
Right now, to be honest, we have already contracted hotels for the European market. I mean for the English, Scandinavians, Polish, we have done our contracting for the coming season.
Okay.
Russia, we're still on hold. Because Russians, we can do it very quickly once we know what's happening. I don't want to contract the hotels and block their rooms in case there's no business. So just waiting, maybe from April we will start. But I am hopeful that we'll come back to normal and maybe we may have a revenge tourism.
Okay.
Like how with the domestic, we had
People
loads
have
of
just started flooding in,
people
correct?
coming in here. Now I feel we'll have a lot of English and Russians coming who really kept in touch with us saying, please, we are ready to come. But it didn't work out, so they are all waiting, looking forward to come.
You know, and just mentioned English and Russian. There is a myth in the market. There is a talk in the market that UK tourists or the English tourists have reduced in Goa since Russian tourists were introduced. How true is that?
Yeah, I also heard about that. And in fact, I was told by some of the English tour operators that if
Okay.
they have too many Russians coming, the English will move away. But I don't subscribe to that view because if you look at the English market, at one time we had many charters coming from the UK,
Exactly.
different companies.
Exactly.
But unfortunately, most of them have gone bust.
Okay.
That is
So you think that is the reason why they
that
reduced?
is the reason. So now you're left with only TUI coming to Goa.
Okay.
So I don't believe that it was because the Russians that the English moved away. It's the situation in the UK itself where these big tour operators.
But don't you think the situation which probably we've seen like a couple of years back when UK tourists were coming in, they used to actually purely come for a holiday and they used to leave. But correct me if I'm wrong. But now we've recently seen a trend wherein a lot of Russian people come in here and they've actually taken over businesses in Goa. I mean, if you probably move to Shapura or even in Morjin, there are a lot of Russian nationals doing business in India, Goa, India. So how fair is that? Or what do you think? I mean, are we looking at another colonization, or is there some loopholes into the law, or what is the reason for this, you think?
Any foreign national comes on a business visa and he's allowed to do business, he has all the licensing, no one can stop him.
But do you think they all have licenses, or
But
do they have, do you think business
coming
visas?
to that point, they tie up with a local
Yeah.
and they assist him, he's the front, the local is the front, and they sort of run the restaurants or shacks. If it is illegal, I am of this firm opinion that the government of Goa should come strongly on it. You know,
Right.
they should not allow whether it's Russian, English, anyone to run restaurants over here without all the formalities done.
Okay. Ernest, like you mentioned, you're in the business for like more than, I think, 3 decades now. We have only seen probably UK and Russian charters now, coming into Goa over a period of time. Why is that we have not explored any other markets, more mature markets? Let's talk about USA or even Japan, or probably let's talk about more mature Asian markets. Do you think that because they're very mature markets, we do not have the kind of infra that to cater to them, or are we lacking into something, or they're not interested?
I would say that the Asian market, when we talk about Japan, I don't know whether Japanese would like to come to Goa because the rich Japanese look for the top infrastructure, and we don't have this type of golf courses, facilities, which these people would require. We as a company, we do business, Japanese business across India. These are the Japanese who would come, stay one night with cameras, they come 3 nights, stay at Delhi, Agra, and then they go back continuously. But to get a Japanese tourist to Goa has become a big challenge, because I think the Japanese don't like to just spend their time on the beach. I think they like to move around. Similarly with the Asians, I don't know whether they like to suntan on the beach. And that could be the key reason why the Asian market doesn't move into Goa so easily.
But don't you think we are still responsible for it? Because as you said, Japanese would like to move around. We've also seen them a lot of places. You go to Taj or probably go to other places in India, you'll see a lot of Japanese tourists. So it probably gives me an idea they are more into exploring heritage of any destination, correct? So maybe we have not ever been able to portray heritage of Goa in the international markets. Maybe that's one of the reasons where they never looked at it, and Goa was only about beaches and beaches.
See, the problem is we have sold Goa as a beach destination,
Right.
stay put destination.
Right.
So if someone comes to Goa, he should do the entire round trip and then come to Goa and spend a couple of nights or maybe a week here. Now, what else have we to offer for a Japanese tourist? For a European tourist, he would like to spend time on the beach because he's coming from freezing cold.
Correct.
So that is concern when we want to talk about promoting Goa in the Asian market. Now, you also mentioned about the European markets. We had charter flights coming, started with Germany, Condor, way back in 1987, if I'm not mistaken, started Goa.
Okay.
But it didn't work out. It continued for a long time, but they had to stop. Then we had till recently Finnair coming to Goa for the last 25 years, and they also pulled out. We had the Scandinavian Airlines also coming to Goa. We had charter flight coming from Switzerland. Poland we had till year before last. We have, but they say Goa for charter flights is a bit of an comparatively expensive destination.
See, you're talking about expensive. Okay, let me put it this way. I mean, the company that you're working for, part of, must be getting thousands of people every year to go at charter, right? So, if you actually tell me a percentage of people who are like really good spenders, who probably come at a certain level, probably will book 4-star and 5 stars, and most of them, say economy. What is that kind of a percentage?
I'd say if you say 4-star to 5-star, 20%.
Okay.
Charter client, and rest would be in the guest house to 3-star.
But do you think they really contribute to any of our, economy, or it is more like we want to get a charter flight and we want some foreigners, spread in Goa, and that's exactly why we're doing.
See, that's one of the reasons why these charter companies don't make in fact money flying into Goa, because if they can break even only if they sell the 4-star, 5-star type of clientele.
But that's again 20% you're saying.
Yeah, but the problem is what they have seats on the aircraft. And they cannot afford to have a empty seat. So that's the reason why last minute they offer throwaway prices. People have come to Goa by paying $200 or 200 pounds for a 2-week stay.
Wow.
Yeah, with accommodation and airfare.
Okay, and then they spend rest of the time.
Yeah, so that's the type of clientele you get. Who will stay in guest houses, try to cook their own food in the room.
I mean, we've seen it. Mostly in the evenings they'll get some fruits and sit by the pool, eat it, and that's it.
I agree, but that way, if you compare to Kerala, Kerala have sort of got the act right. We went berserk by opening too many base category hotels all across the state.
So coming back to the question I asked a lot of people, so you were technically saying that we have too much of inventory into budget segment, right?
And still growing.
And still growing, and we need to fill it. Okay, so the supply is much more than the demand that is in the market. Okay, anyways, coming to this, another very interesting question I have for you. The kind of clientele that you get, the people who come in here, do you think they are affected by the taxi crisis, the transportation crisis that we have in the Goa market? There is always some fight, something going on in the market concerning the taxi.
Absolutely. If you go to the tourism department and see the complaints from the tourists, whether it's domestic or international, maximum complaints have come because of the tourist taxi problem we face here.
So you think that they must be going back and also talking about this, and there is a lot of news in the international market with this?
Absolutely. Because see, for example, a Russian client today, he knows, and when you offer him a rate which is very high, he will not choose. That's the reason why you find them on bikes. Forget about the foreign tourists. Look at the domestic tourists. This time during the weekends when we had sold out situation in Goa, had you noticed the number of cars which have come in from across the border, whether it's Telangana, Maharashtra, Karnataka. This is only because they find it's cheaper for them to drive down to Goa and use the vehicle over here than to hire a taxi.
Right. So, anyways, so it is definitely a very bad situation for Goa if they don't solve the transportation issue ASAP.
Because we don't have a public transport system after 8 o'clock.
Exactly. So but don't you think, companies like yours are probably institution that, you're a part of. I think you're a president for SCOL also, right? Should raise this issue to the CM or the people and get public transportation, especially after 7 o'clock in Goa.
See, we have been talking about this issue, mainly concerning the taxi issue, for a long time.
Okay.
Now, even if you notice, at the airport, they have a bus service.
Correct.
Bring people to the north, Benjamin North from the airport. But it's not a regular service. It had stopped, it starts and stops again.
But
Because of the
don't you think
pressure of
stakeholders like you of the industry, the hoteliers, if they put pressure on the government of getting these things done, they should be doing it. See, there is a lot of pressure coming from, say, taxi owners right now. We don't want meters, we don't want this. So there's a pressure that is building up. But we haven't seen hotel lobby coming up these kind of agitation or even these kind of demands to the government in public. Why is it not happening when it is going to be convenient for the whole tourism industry?
See, as a body, TTAG, Travel and Tourism Association of Goa, I've been on the executive committee for the last 15 to 18 years.
Right.
And we have been taking up this taxi issue for the last so many years.
Okay.
But nothing seems to be happening. We had to go to High Court to get to allow us to operate. Because earlier years, they said you can bring your coaches or do business in South Goa only on Wednesdays and Fridays.
Okay.
So we had to appeal to the High Court for justice.
Oh.
So it's not that we have not been doing, we have done quite a bit. There's more to be done, I agree. But at the same time, because of the political vote bank, I think no one wants to touch this very sensitive.
So you think it's a political issue?
I'm convinced it's a political issue.
Okay. See, as you just I mentioned that you're also a part of SCOL. That's again an organization. Tell us a little more about SCOL and what you guys exactly do in Goa.
See, SCOL is an international organization of tour operators, travel agents, event managers, anyone who's related in the travel industry. And we have 253 offices across the world. And here in Goa, we have this SCOL International Goa, where we have done, it's a comparatively new organization. It's basically doing business among friends. So tour operator, travel agent, will meet an event guy, will meet hoteliers, and it has happened in Goa. There are live examples where we meet once a month. We have a general body meeting once a month. People talk, exchange views and all. We have people coming to do presentations so that the knowledge of the people has increased by them knowing what's happening. Like we call the fire director of fire services, we call excise, just to give a talk to brief our members what's happening. During the COVID times, we went out of the way to provide the PPEs for the doctors and the health workers. We also have a very dynamic young SCOL team under the able guidance of our young SCOL director, Carl Costa. So we are trying to do our bit to promote and assist in the tourism.
Okay, so that's what exactly SCOL does. So are you like looking at any recent activities that you guys do? Is it like a limited number of people or is it like open to everybody who's part?
It is limited in the sense that they are very particular because a member may want to join. Someone might want to join as a member, then it has to go to the EC here, then we have to send it to Asia board, and then it goes to the world.
So it doesn't have to do anything with the nationality of the GM or nationality of the as long as they're based out of here. It's great.
As long as they're based in Goa and as long as you're sure that they will be here. There's a lot of GMs who come and then they are transferred to some other place.
Correct.
Then that affects the membership, because when he moves somewhere, then he has to transfer his membership, or maybe there may not be a SCOL club in the destination he goes.
Yeah.
There are 14 clubs in India. Mumbai itself has 2 clubs. So it's not that every state has a club.
Right.
We are trying to open up clubs in many of the tourist states of India.
So,
but and I'm proud to inform you that we also won the SCOL Club of the Year award worldwide.
oh, is it?
Yeah, so we won the award.
For 2020?
Worldwide. Yeah, we won it worldwide amongst 253 clubs. We were voted, and because of our achievements, whatever we had,
The activities that you do.
we had to make a presentation. And thanks to my entire EC team who worked very hard to make this happen. So we won the Asia Award first, then we won the World Award. For the Young SCOL, we won again the Asia Award. Then one of our councillor, Mario Sequeira, got a recognition for he was the previous president of SCOL India, previous president of SCOL Goa, and he was also the international councillor, so he also was acknowledged for his services.
Alright, great. Okay, my next question to you is, Anas, do you think we are going to see a growth in charter flights in coming times in Goa or do you think that we may lose out on the number of charter flights that come into Goa? Maybe because, say, a better destination comes up, or maybe for other reasons.
It has been a worry for us for a long time.
Okay.
Earlier, we had charters coming from different countries. Now we are stuck with only two, UK and Russia, and then Ukraine to some extent.
So what is your limitation? Why is that?
It's today the world is open for everyone,
Correct.
and these charter operators are looking at value for money.
Right.
Many countries, and especially now after this COVID, will be very aggressive in the market,
So
and they get government support.
Hmm.
They get huge government support.
They get.
Yeah. For example, in countries like Turkey and all that, the government offers you preferential rates on the landing fees, parking fees. Even they incentivize the tour operator by offering maybe $10 for every arriving passenger.
So are we saying that we are not having enough support from the government to grow this industry?
Absolutely.
Correct?
Yeah.
So if at all you have to ask something from the government today, then you know what, this is exactly what would be those three important things you would ask from government?
First, I would say reduce the landing fees, landing
Okay.
airport fees.
Yeah.
Secondly, I would say offer free visa. Don't
Okay.
charge
For the visa
fee. Yeah.
Okay.
And the third thing I would say is market Goa aggressive
Okay.
across in countries where you know you will expect tourists to come. You cannot market Goa in America. Why will Americans come to Goa when they have the Caribbeans next to?
Correct.
So you know the European market and go for it. And we are there to support the government if they are really very keen in and interested in doing it.
So will that help us get some quality international clients to Goa?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And now see with the connections,
Yeah.
a lot of our clients are coming on Qatar Airways.
Okay.
Qatar Airways has become a base. So a lot of clients are coming on that. Now Oman also is operating. If they have good connections, people are ready to come on these flights instead of using the charter flights.
Okay. So basically we need to again market Goa in a right way
Yeah, yeah.
to all these destinations. Great. Ernest, last, any message for the Goans or the industry?
I would say let's preserve our pristine beauty here in Goa. We must preserve it. We must make sure that Goa remains,
Right.
for every tourist to enjoy.
Correct.
We have to control, see, for example, you go, what was Kalangut 10, 15 years back
10 years back.
and what it is now.
Correct.
We cannot just go in for mass tourism.
Sure.
We cannot have those people coming from across the border in jeeps, cooking and eating on the streets.
I think that should be a very loud message to the
Yeah.
tourism of Goa and the
Absolutely.
government of Goa.
Yeah. Because I read on the papers 3 days ago, they said trains. There are a lot of 40% business has gone up because of by trains, tourists coming
Alright.
by trains. But I'm wondering, which are these tourists coming by trains? And where are they going to stay?
Anyways, this was great chatting with you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks,
and I wish
thank
you
you.
luck for the coming season.
Thank you.
All right, and thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.